Jiminy Crickets.
Jiminy Cricket is the name. I'm a happy-go-lucky fellow, always getting in wrong for singing my song. A merry old soul am I. Jiminy Cricket is the name. I'll be hanging around this evening. I'll be tipping my hat and telling you that Jiminy Cricket is the name.
Hello, Cricketeers, and welcome to our May 23rd, 2019 episode of Dateline Jiminy Crickets, bringing you the latest in Disney news. How are you doing, Ruthie?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great, and we have a great, big, beautiful show tonight. So before we get to our news and other fun topics, we have a very special announcement. Dateline Jiminy Crickets proudly endorses Concierge Vacation Planners, a Disney-authorized specialty vacation planning service. Concierge doesn't just book your trip, they walk you through the entire process, helping you plan out every detail, one-on-one, to make the very most out of your vacation while saving you both time and money. And the best part is, they charge nothing for their services. You will get the exact same pricing as if you booked your vacation directly through Disney. But in using Concierge expertise, you've got the added bonus of having your very own personal Disney Guru planner by your side. Both Ruthie and I are also satisfied customers, and we just can't recommend them enough. Visit their website at www.concierge.com. That's www.concierge.com, as in mouse ears. So when you book your next Disney vacation, be it Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Line, or many of the other Disney destinations available worldwide, contact Concierge Vacation Planners, and be sure to tell them DisneyChris sent you. Well, we're going to be making some changes to Patreon. For those who don't know what Patreon is, it's basically a way for people to help support creative endeavors, such as podcasting, editing Disneyland music, researching the news of Disney, and all other sorts of creative things that we don't do. But we have several patrons already, but we'd like to get a little bit more help and do some more exciting and fun things with better equipment and able to maybe travel to Disneyland and have a meet and greet, different things like that. So we're trying to bump up our numbers. And one thing that we've noticed is that most people who do very well on Patreon do something they call levels. So this gives people an incentive to contribute more. So we thought that we would give you a little bit of an update as to the changes that we plan to make starting June 1st. If you are already a Patreon subscriber, this will not go into effect for the month of May. Any type of rewards that I have given in the past will still be coming to you at the end of this month. Starting June 1st, it's all going to be what we're going to discuss right now. So, let me go through all of the wonderful rewards that we're going to be offering our supporters as a thank you. We came up with 4 levels, and through much debate, we're going to be calling them brave, truthful, and unselfish, just like Jiminy Cricket. And then the top level is going to be called official conscience. It all sort of ties into our Jiminy Crickets podcast mascot and the whole Pinocchio vibe. So, the $1 level is Brave Cricketers. The $5 level is Truthful Cricketers. The $10 level is Unselfish Cricketers. And all levels are unselfish. We're not saying you're selfish if you're not a $10.
Yeah.
And all are Truthful and Brave. These are just names that are kind of fun and have a Disney tie-in. And then the top tier level, the Gold Star level, is an Official Conscience. And as you can see, Jiminy Cricket is actually wearing all the same little things that are in these pictures. He has his gold badge, his umbrella, his top hat, and his white gloves. So all 4 of these images here represent things that Jiminy Cricket wears, his apparel. So we just thought it'd be cute to do a whole Jiminy Cricket thing and make it fun for everybody. So let's discuss what rewards you will get at each level, shall we?
Yes.
So, the $1 level, and any amount that one can contribute is appreciated, and we understand that some people are able to contribute more than others, and we appreciate any and all level of contribution. $1 is wonderful. If 10 people contribute $1, that's $10. So, you know, it's not always about the amount, it's about how many people can join our family.
Yeah.
So, you will receive access to an exclusive chat group we're going to be starting on Patreon. And this is only for subscribers. If you're not a Patreon subscriber to our to Jiminy Crickets and DisneyChris.com, then you will not have access to this group. And also, your name will be listed on the closing credits of our YouTube show, which is the very show you are watching as we record this. Dateline Jiminy Crickets, which is a bi-weekly news show. For those who are watching after this, the contributions don't only support Dateline Jiminy Crickets, but it supports all 3 of our areas of endeavor. DisneyChris.com, which is my website, with the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour and the Disney Song of the Day. And Dateline Jiminy Crickets, which is our news show that we show on YouTube, and our audio podcast, which is called just Jiminy Crickets, which is our original show. So by contributing, you're supporting all 3 of these. So for our $5 level, you receive all the same rewards that you have already received at the $1 level. So those 2 things I just mentioned, you'll still be getting those. And in addition to that, you'll be getting a audio collection of between 28 and 31 songs, depending on the month. Sometimes 29.
Yeah.
This is my song of the day, which I post on my website, a song of the day, which is a Disney song every day of the year. At the end of the month, I package them up. I add pretty artwork to the MP3 files. I label them, and I put them all in sort of an album collection. And I package that up, and anybody who contributes $5 or more will receive that gift every month. Ruthie and I and our good friend Brian Crawford are going to be doing a monthly cartoon commentary. If you remember, when we did our live show, which is the precursor to Dateline Jiminy Crickets, we were doing cartoon commentaries. But YouTube was a little trigger happy with these and kept blocking them. So we've decided to continue doing these cartoon commentaries, but just offer them to our Patreon subscribers. So every month, you'll receive access to our Disney Song of the Day audio collection and a cartoon commentary. And we're going to do them in chronological order. We're going to start with Plain Crazy, the first Mickey Mouse short, and work our way up all the way through the 30s and 40s in chronological order. And it'll probably take us 10 years to get through all of them. So
Right.
maybe
Especially
even
if we're
longer.
just doing it monthly.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
you have those two wonderful things to look forward to at the end of every month if you are a $5 level contributor, a truthful cricketeer. Now, in the next level, which is the $10 level, the unselfish cricketers, you get everything I just described for the $1 and $5 level. Plus, you get 3 to 5 times a year, and I have one I'm about to release soon. So, probably at the end of June, or maybe in the middle of June, I'll be giving this out to all of our $10 level, a special bonus audio collection. So in addition to the Song of the Day, which everyone $5 and up gets, if you're a $10 contributor, you get 3 to 5 times a year an additional type of, it could be anything. It could be songs from Disneyland or anything. In the past, we did like a 90s collection, an 80s collection, a 70s collection, and I have a new one. I don't want to give it away, but I have a brand new one that's a lot of fun that I'm ready to put out there as soon as we launch our new levels on Patreon. So you'll get a bonus collection right away if you become a $10 contributor. Also, Ruthie and I are going to do another podcast that's only going to be released to people who contribute $10 or more a month. And this is going to be an audio podcast, and it's going to be exclusive to our Patreons, like I said, and it's going to be called Down the Rabbit Hole. You might remember we used that as a segment in our old live show. Well, this is going to be a little bit different than what that was. This is just going to be a impromptu chat. Ruthie and I are going to just get together, sit down, and have a chat about Disney, and wherever the conversation leads is where it'll take us. And that's why we're calling it Down the Rabbit Hole. Because when Ruthie and I start talking Disney, we indeed go down the rabbit hole. So that was really what we wanted this to be in the first place when we had it on our live show. But it never really worked for that format with having to have pictures and everything, because the live show was an audio visual show. This is just audio, so it's just a conversation, and we're going to be releasing this once a month. And that'll be exclusive to anybody who contributes at the $10 level or higher.
The other thing that we want to do with that show too is get, our Patreon subscribers involved. So we want to answer your questions and,
Right.
Interact with you guys too. So if that's something that is attractive to you, this is a good level for you.
We can read email questions, answer questions. If you have anything nice you want to say about us, we can read that. Anything you want to contribute,
Right.
we can share.
Yeah.
Now, the top level is our $25 level, and this is our official conscience level. This includes everything we've mentioned. Everything at the $1, $5, and $10 level, plus 2 other special things. We're going to have a opportunity for you to record your voice, just audio, as a and if you have any sort of a topic about Disney that grinds your gears, or something that you really admire about Disney, or anything you want to share, a trip you took, something magical that touched your life that has a Disney connection, you can record a little blurb for us, and we can play it on our podcast and share it with our listeners. So that is an opportunity for anybody that's at the $25 level or higher. Plus, this is a lot of fun. We're going to be recording an additional commentary every month, and it's going to be based on the classic Disneyland television specials or episodes of the old Disneyland program from the 50s and 60s, when it became the Wonderful World of Color, and then when it became the Wonderful World of Disney, plus theatrical releases, television one-off specials, anything that is related to Disneyland the park. We're going to watch it and commentate on it. We're going to record the video with our commentary attached to it, and we will send you the video of the special with our commentary voiceover once a month. We're going to create a sample. If you're a little unsure about if you want to go for the $25 plunge or not, we're going to do one of these and post it on our YouTube channel for everyone to see. And after that, we will start releasing these to our $25 level contributors exclusively. And for the first one, we're going to do a later one from the late 60s. But then once we start doing them for official conscious contributors only, we're going to go back to the very first one from the 50s and do them in chronological order. So anytime Walt Disney presented anything on TV that had anything to do with Disneyland the park, or released anything theatrically that had to do with Disneyland the park, we will create a commentary for it in chronological order. And there's a lot of them, so that'll take us a few years too. Additionally, we have t-shirts. Now, Ruthie, we're going to have more designs, right? These are just one of the options.
Yes.
They come in different colors. They come in women's or men's. We can even make them in children's sizes. And you can get them as large as 3X or as small as small.
Extra small?
I think that would be considered children's, so yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So we have a few more design options that we're working on, and when they are available, we'll share them with you. So you'll be able to choose from more than one design and more than one color. I think we're going to do 4 different variations of shirts. We have like one design that we're going to have 2 different versions, and then a fourth design that it's going to be different. So it's really 3 designs, but one of them is going to have 2 variations. And then so for anybody contributing $10 a month, if you stick with us and keep contributing $10 a month for 10 months in a row, we'll send you a free t-shirt. And if you are pledging at the $25 level, after 4 months of ongoing contributions, we'll send you a free t-shirt. If anybody else would like a t-shirt, you are available to purchase them at any time. So anybody can get a t-shirt that wants one. But if you want a free t-shirt, you have to contribute $10 a month for 10 months or $25 a month for 4 months. Does that make sense, Ruthie?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they like you to set goals on Patreon. So we decided to start with a $500 monthly goal, which means that all of our contributors combined will be sending us $500 every month, pledged.
Yes.
And when that happens, we have a reward for everybody, no matter what level you're at. And that is going to be that we're going to do two things. I'm going to watch a movie I haven't seen, a Disney movie I haven't seen, because I'm notorious for taking forever to getting around to watching these newer movies. And so we picked 3 of them I haven't seen, and now I'm not allowed to watch them until
until we get to this goal.
Until we get to the goal. We're going to let anybody who's a Patreon subscriber, no matter what level, $1 to $25, vote on which one you want me to watch. I will watch the movie, and Ruthie and I, right after I watch it, are going to record a audio podcast of my first impressions. Immediately after I see it, we're going to discuss it on audio and release it exclusive to Patreon subscribers, but at every level, $1 and up. Additionally, I'm going to do a commentary on my second viewing by myself, just me, alone. It's my punishment.
For not watching these movies earlier, yeah.
Right. So I'm going to do a full commentary on one of these movies, and I'm going to send you the audio only, because these movies are available for purchase, and they're widely available, and they're not something you can stream on YouTube or anything. I will send you an audio recording of my commentary that you will be able to sync up with the movie and listen to that while you're watching the movie. So those are all of our special new rewards, and we hope that you will consider helping us continue to bring you magic. And we thank you very much for your support.
Yes.
From the far corners of the earth, from across the 7 seas, the news of the day for the leaders of tomorrow. The Mickey Mouse Newsreel, dedicated to you, the leaders of the 21st century.
Doctor, if it's going to hurt, please give me something to kill the pain.
Yeah, okay, well, got some Novocaine right here. Just, hold on then, Mel. Let's see how this works here. Okay, Novocaine. Here we are, Novocaine. Take a firm hold of the hypodermic needle. Right. There'll be a little bit of pain, and then numbness will set in. Well, I guess we'll get right to it. I'll just give you a little shot here. Yeah, I'll be right with you.
flush it with the light. Sorry, I didn't, just... Oh, well, now that'll be $20. Well, that'll be 40.
Well, Ruthie.
Here we are again.
Every episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so sad that Ruthie and I are getting older and all these people we grew up with are leaving us.
Yeah.
Younger people may not understand, but Tim Conway was at one time considered to be one of the funniest people alive.
Yeah.
And he was.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Tim Conway, even though a lot of his career wasn't at Disney, but there was a period where it was very much a part of Disney, and he's actually a Disney legend. He's one of the prestigious few that has been honored with that prestigious award. So let's talk a little bit about his life and his legacy. Make sure I don't cry.
Yeah.
I'm already getting a little choked up. So what articles did we use for this story, Ruthie?
We used 2 articles. The first one, Tim Conway, comedian and Carol Burnett show star, dies at 85, by Carmel Dagan for Variety.com, and this is from May 14th. And then the article, Remembering Tim Conway, by D23 Team for D23.com, also from May 14th.
Right. So, Tim Conway was a regular cast member on the famed Carol Burnett show, which ran from 1967 to 1978. He didn't become a regular until 75, but he was a regular guest through the 60s and early 70s before he became a weekly cast member. So even though he didn't become permanent and every week, he was part of the show from the beginning. And he was one of the, probably the favorite guest.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on like every 3 weeks or so. So he was pretty much a regular.
Yeah.
Speaking of Carol Burnett, she had some beautiful things to say about her friendship. What are those, Ruthie?
Her comment when she heard that he passed on May 14th was, she said, "I'm heartbroken. He was one in a million, not only as a brilliant comedian, but as a loving human being. I cherish the times we had together, both on screen and off. He'll be in my heart forever."
And you're in fact listening to Carol Burnett's theme song, which is apropos because the lyric is, "I'm so glad we had this time together." So Ruthie, because I'm about to get hysterical, why don't you tell us about where he was born and some of his early years before he became in show business?
Sure. So he was born on December 15th, 1933 in Willoughby, Ohio, and he grew up actually in a town called Chagrin Falls. And he actually used this town to kind of inspire his unique comedy routines.
Right, it's kind of a funny, much to my chagrin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after majoring in speech and radio at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, he enlisted into
Bowling Street
I know, right?
at Chagrin Falls.
He enlisted in the Army and he served 2 years. And upon his discharge, he took a job answering mail for a Cleveland radio DJ. And because
that was
he was
his foot in the door with show business.
Yeah. And because his clever writing skills were so funny, it motivated the radio station, to transfer him to the promotional department, which is, what you would think of as like the marketing department today.
Right, and he would write bits too, like for different commercials and things that they would read on the air. So this sort of gave him a little bit of experience with comedy writing, which is sort of what he started doing. And he worked for a local television show that was called Ernie's Place. And he was a writer, and then he started appearing as a character eventually, a paradoxical character named Dag Hereford, a self-proclaimed authority on everything. But in reality, he was a simpleton. That sounds like a role Tim Conway would excel at.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, comedian Rose Marie, who is famous for being on the Dick Van Dyke Show and Hollywood Squares, she just so happened to be in town and caught him on the television show. And she recommended him to Steve Allen, who at that time was the host of The Tonight Show. And later, he was on a primetime variety series. And he invited Tim Conway to be a regular performer on his series. And this went on up until the early 60s. Here's a picture of him on that series. He had a famous bit where he would do sports commentaries, and this is a picture of that. But his probably breakout role was on a sitcom which ran for, I think, 6 seasons. And this was the famous McHale's Navy with Ernest Borgnine. And they also made 2 feature films in I think 64 and then another one in 65. And if you're interested, because I was doing a little research, both of those films are available on YouTube, the whole movie for free. So if you want to check those out. And pretty much every episode of McHale's Navy is on there too. And if you're a Disney fan, you're a McHale's Navy fan. I mean, if you're a Disney live action comedy fan, because all of the people you know and love from the Disney canon were on that series. What's his name? Mr. Snoops with the glasses. You know, the guy that was in all those comedies and he played the Dean Higgins. Oh, yeah. He was one of them on there. His name escapes
I can't think
me.
of his name either, yeah.
You know, all those wacky people. And if they weren't regulars on the show, they were guests. They were on one episode at least. All those character actors from the Disney comedies of the 70s all sort of met each other on McHale's Navy, including Tim Conway. So anyway, this series ended. Well, actually, while the series was still ongoing, he was on another show called Rango, where he played a cowboy that was kind of like an inept cowboy, clumsy cowboy. And that sort of would lead to future things that he did for Disney. In fact, what you're hearing right now is the theme song to McHale's Navy, believe it or not.
How funny.
So, then in the early 70s, he had his own variety show called The Tim Conway Show, which only lasted less than a season. And meanwhile, he started guest appearing on the aforementioned Carol Burnett Show. And this started in the late 60s and was pretty much his main place to play up until the late 70s. So, he won, I believe, 4 Emmy Awards for Carol Burnett.
Actually, I think it was 5.
5? Okay. Some of them were for writing, and some of them were for Best Guest Star, and then some of them were for Best Supporting Star. Because his roles flip-flopped throughout the years on the show. Some of his most famous characters that he created on the Carol Burnett Show were Mr. Tudball, which is the guy sitting at the desk on the right, top right image. And he had a really ditzy secretary played by Carol Burnett named Mrs. Wiggins. And he had a very heavy, like, European accent. It sounded like he was Swedish. And he would go, Mrs. Huck Wiggins. And she wore this really crazy outfit where it forced her to walk with her behind sticking out. And it was just a really funny sketch. And it was a recurring sketch. And then another character he created was the old man. And he used to take really tiny, quick steps. And he talked like...
like shuffling or something like that?
Yeah, and then there was a running gag on the show where he would do a list. As the old man character, he would name a list of things, and then he would always end with koala bears. And it made Harvey Korman, nothing else he did made him crack up. The koala bear thing was like his undoing, because Tim Conway's main goal in any skit on the Carol Burnett show was to make Harvey Korman laugh.
Well, based on what we just watched, it didn't look like it was too hard.
Right.
So.
That's one of his most famous sketches that he ever did. It's called the dentist sketch, and that was a good example of how he purposely, because what he would do is he would improvise and do things he had not done in rehearsal. So they were caught off guard while they were taping. So they get these immediate reactions. So anyway, as the old man character, he would go, I've got some books and some pencils and a plant and a koala bear. And he would just die. Another famous sketch was called the interrogation sketch, where he was a Nazi. There was an American that was captured by the Nazis, and they tried to get him to spill vital information. So Tim Conway comes in as the interrogator, and he pulls out a puppet of Hitler and tries to intimidate him with his little puppet. He also was in the Mama's sketches. They called it the Family original. It evolved into Mama's Family, the sitcom. But that started on the Carol Burnett show, and they just called it back then The Family. And he played like the dim-witted employee of Ed, who was the wife of Eunice, who was Carol Burnett, and Ed was played by Harvey Korman, and of course Mama was Vicki Lawrence. But he played his like dim-witted assistant at his hardware store. So he was in a couple really hilarious sketches in that part too. But Carol Burnett show was some of the most fantastic comedy that's ever been done in the history of television or otherwise. But it was also in the 70s, beginning in, I believe, 1973, that he appeared in his first Disney comedy. And this was called The World's Greatest Athlete. And one of the funniest parts of that is when a witch doctor puts a voodoo curse on him and makes him shrink. You can see a picture of that in this little picture I put up, where he's struggling with a giant telephone. And the next Disney movie he was in 1975, and that's probably his most famous Disney movie, The Apple Dumpling Gang, where he was teamed up for the very first time with Don Knotts, and they would go on to do several pictures together, even after they left Disney. In fact, you're listening to music from one of the movies that he was in with Don Knotts called The Private Eyes. That's what you're listening to right now. So The Apple Dumpling Gang was a Western comedy, so I'm sure he took lessons from when he played Rongo. And it was just sort of a family comedy, and these were two dim-witted bandits that, you know, they never really caused any problems because they always messed up on their capers. So the sheriff would just like ignore them because he knew they'd never be able to rob a bank or do anything. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
So the next film he was in, he played sort of a henchman in the movie Gus, and him and a band of mafia people kidnap Gus so that they can't win the big game. And he gets into a whole incident where Gus runs away from him and goes into a grocery store. It's hysterical. If you haven't seen Gus, it's so funny. Don Knotts was in Gus as well. And then, the same year as Gus, he was in The Shaggy DA, which is the sequel to The Shaggy Dog. And he played the boyfriend of Joanne Worley. And there's an amazing pie fight at the end of the film that cannot be missed. It's probably the best pie fight in movie history. And he plays a big part in it. Because Joanne Worley works in a pie factory. Just saying. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Right.
And then his final Disney film of the 70s era, because he was in some later stuff, but the last of his Disney stint was The Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again, which is the sequel to the original Apple Dumpling Gang. So, after he left Disney, and even while he was still working for Disney, he did a lot of other comedies. Some with Don Knotts, some without Don Knotts. The first one he did after Disney was called the $1 Billion Hobo. Then he was in a movie called They Went That Away and That Away. He was in a Tim Conway, Don Knotts vehicle called The Prize Fighter, a knockout comedy. And then the one I just mentioned, The Private Eyes, is kind of like a black comedy where they're detectives and they go into a haunted house. Don Knotts, Tim Conway, haunted house. I'm there. Sign me up for that. I guess it was the mid 80s. He teamed back up with Harvey Korman, and he did a movie. It was more of an adult comedy than some of his earlier stuff. It was called The Long Shot, and it was about people who bet on horse races. It was a clever, funny film. Didn't do very well, but it's still worth a look. It's a good movie. But it's not for children. It's got a lot of language in it. Tim Conway is also famous. Kind of his final thing that he's best known for in his later years was Dwarf, which I guess is short for dwarf, because he played a little person, and how he achieved that was he bent his knees and put little shoes on his knees and walked around with half a torso. Or half a lower body, or whatever, however you want to explain it. Long arms still, though. So he did a series of direct-to-video films where he played all different types of sports. The first one was called Dwarf Plays Golf, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very funny.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like just stupid humor, like slapstick, which I do, they're funny.
Yeah.
In the 90s, he returned to Disney and worked on several projects. He was a regular guest on The Wizards of Waverly Place on the Disney Channel. He was also on the Hercules animated series, and he did the voice of a kind of a parrot creature, kind of a monster.
The vulture?
Yeah, kind of a bird, but not a bird, more like, it's like the legends of the ancient Greece. It was more like a, what do you call him? A titan, a monster type character. Then he was on a few episodes of The Proud Family, the animated series for the Disney Channel. He was in a theatrical release, which was a sequel to Air Bud, called Air Bud Golden Receiver instead of Golden Retriever, get it? And he played a sports commentator with one of his dear friends, Dick Martin, who was a fellow comedian who started on, Martin and Rowan's Laugh-In in the 60s. And then he provided the voice of a dog in the Disney direct-to-video children's comedy Air Buddies. which led to like 5 million more Air Buddy films after that. But he was in the first one.
Yeah.
And he won a couple of Grammys. Not Grammys. Emmys.
Yeah.
Maybe he did win a Grammy. I don't know.
Yeah.
After he finished with Carol Burnett, he won a couple more for guest appearances on sitcoms. I believe he was on... Well, I don't know if he won an Emmy for it, but I know he appeared on an episode of Married with Children, and he was also on... what's the episode? Was it 30 Rock? Not 30 Rock.
Yeah.
30 Rock.
No, it was. Yeah, that's the one he won an Emmy for.
Right, he won an Emmy. That was his final Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
So he was nominated for 13 Emmys and won 6 over his career, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
So he also did some vocal work for outside of Disney. He did some work on SpongeBob SquarePants, Scooby-Doo, and a Christian video series called Hermie and Friends. And he was on different, specials that were produced by Disney, like the Walt Disney World Celebrity Circus. And then there was a short-lived skit show called Carol and Company. He wasn't a regular on the show, but he guest starred as a guest, like he had done on the original Carol Burnett show. He made a guest appearance. He was also on the sitcom Coach. I used to like that. Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's brother, was on that.
Yeah.
So, he was named... This is him receiving his Emmy for 30 Rock. Always a prankster. Whenever he received an award, he made a big, funny moment out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see some of those on YouTube. There's one where he didn't win. He was nominated. Harvey Korman was nominated, and other people were nominated. And when they just called out their names, they just walked right up on the stage. Both of them did. They had planned it. Like they just, they called their name, they just stood there, and then they didn't win. They didn't win, and the person that won went up, and they were standing behind him, breathing down his neck while he gave his... So, in 2004, he became an official Disney legend. And to end up our little Tim Conway, we have a quote, which is, "If I can't surprise myself, I can't surprise an audience." Which is a fitting thing for the king of improvisation.
Yeah. He definitely was a really funny person, and if you haven't watched any of his skits, you need to go watch it, because, it'll still make you laugh. It's timeless.
And it's all on YouTube for you to enjoy, and I highly recommend you learn more about the legend in his own mind.
And in ours, too.
Yes, Tim Conway.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. So Disney went ahead and named every film that they will be producing for the next century.
Right?
Right. Star Wars Part 39.
Avatar 20.
Avatar 20. No, seriously though. They did announce every film that's already planned up until 2027, which seems a little ridiculous to me, to plan that far ahead. I mean, you can't plan that far ahead. You don't know what's going to change culturally. I don't know. I think it's silly to plan that far ahead. I love how they love to announce their movies, but they won't even tell you anything. They won't even let you see the castle.
Right.
Or tell you what's going to happen at Tomorrowland and Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that is complete top secret. But what movie they're going to come out with, let us tell you everything. So.
Yeah, the movie industry is a little bit different than theme parks, but yeah. And these are definitely just placeholders, at least when you get later in the years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is pretty much everything that's already planned out for Walt Disney Animation, Walt Disney Pictures, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and now 21st Century Fox, because Disney, remember, they own them now too.
Yep.
So there's a bunch of movies that were already in production that now Disney has to finish. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them are animated too, which is really interesting how that's gonna work. So we have a list here of all the things that they plan to do. So for as far as Disney films for the remainder of the year, let's name those. So we've got, read those off. What are all the Disney films coming out until the end of 2019?
So actually, the day after this episode is on YouTube, we have Aladdin. So that's on the 24th. That's the live-action remake of Aladdin.
Right.
Then on the 19th of July, we have the live-action remake. Oh, I skipped one.
I'm sorry. The live-action remake of Toy Story 4?
Sorry, skip that. Toy Story 4 is coming out June 21st, and then the live-action remake of The Lion King is coming out July 19th.
That's with a, what do you call, a asterisk, because it's not really live action.
Yeah, / CGI version of Lion King. Yes. Right. And then we have another film that's coming out October 18th, which we actually haven't discussed on the show yet, but we've been keeping an eye on it, and that's the Maleficent Part 2. It's called Mistress of Evil. And then we have Frozen 2 in November 22nd of 2019.
Right. And then also we have Star Wars Episode 9.
Yep.
Coming out.
That's December 20th.
Right. 2 days before Frozen. I wonder how they're going to compete with... Oh, no, that's a month later.
Yeah.
I was looking at the day of the week, not the month.
Not the month, yeah.
So in addition to all of that, there's a bunch of Fox movies coming out that were not previously going to be produced by Disney. So what are all these Fox movies? Well, one of them just came out.
Yeah, the Tolkien movie. So this is about the life of J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And so that's already out. But then on June 7th, Dark Phoenix, which is the last movie in the X-Men series that Fox produced, that's coming out. And this has been delayed a while, but they're finally putting it out.
And the next one will be Disney produced.
Yeah, if there's any more X-Men movies, yeah.
Right, because now Disney owns the right to make X-Men movies. Because they own Marvel and because Fox owned the movie rights. Disney only owned the comic book rights before. Which is strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're getting it together slowly but surely.
Right.
And there's a couple of other movies. I mean, we can go through them, but I don't even know if they're really worth mentioning. There's The Woman in the Window is based on a best-selling novel.
Ford versus Ferrari sounds interesting. That's coming out in November. And then this is one that's actually animated that I just mentioned, Spies in Disguise, and it's with what's his name in Aladdin. He's playing the genie in Aladdin.
Oh, Will Smith.
Will Smith. Hello, Chris. Brain. So that's going to be interesting. They're making an animated film with Will Smith, and then it's not produced by Disney, and then he's also in Aladdin. So that's weird.
Yeah.
So after that, we move onward to 2020. Got my little joke there, my little pun.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of Fox movies coming out. The ones that stand out to me, there's 3 that I'm interested in. One is the New Mutants, which sounds sort of like a superhero-y type thing, but I don't know.
It is.
It is?
It's actually similar to X-Men.
And then Bob's Burgers, the movie, which is bizarre to me that Disney is producing this.
I know, right?
But I am a huge Bob's Burgers fan. Little known insider guilty pleasure secret about me. And then the last one that I'm definitely interested in, because I love musicals, is they're doing a remake of West Side Story.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg is doing this one.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I definitely want to see that. So, Marvel is going to have 2 films.
So this is a change, though, because they've been putting out 3 Marvel movies for years now, but
Right.
2020 is only going to have 2.
Wow.
So, and they did not list which ones, but they just kind of slated the dates. So the first one is for May 1st, and then the other one is for November 6th.
Right, they're just calling it Untitled Marvel.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's speculation that it could be the Black Widow movie, the Eternals. So we don't know what is going to come out first, but we have to wait now until May of 2020 to see another Marvel movie after July when the Spider-Man movie comes out.
So Pixar is releasing a movie called Onward in March of next year, and we know nothing about it, which seems
Right.
like that's so strange. They usually let more information out. The poster that they've released is a black poster with just the
With the
title,
word,
just the title. Mulan.
Maybe we'll know more about it. Maybe in Toy Story 4 they'll have something. Maybe.
I bet you they'll have a preview.
Yeah.
They'll have a trailer. The live-action Mulan is coming out in March next year, and it looks like a spy movie with a kid genius type
Yeah,
character.
we talked about this.
Yeah, we did. It was mentioned long ago. It's called Artemis Fowl. I think
So
it's
this
based
was-
on a children's book or something.
Yeah. This was
Right.
actually supposed to come out this August. This coming August
Right.
this year, so they pushed it.
Yeah. And then I guess they're gonna have another Pixar movie, which is not named yet. So this is very bizarre.
I know.
Because Ruthie thought Onward was just a Disney animated film. So we're confused.
Yeah.
Because the poster says Disney Pixar. So, and then they're going to have another Pixar movie, which is Untitled.
Yeah.
And
That's
in
June 19th of 2020.
June. This is very strange to me. That
Yeah.
seems very close together. They
Yeah,
must
it does.
They must have increased their staff and they're pumping them out.
Yeah.
So one
I know,
movie.
only 3 months difference between 2 Pixar movies? That's,
that
they don't
seems
usually do
crazy.
that. Yeah.
So they're actually finally, after years of talking about it,
Mhm.
and it's still over a year away.
Right. Even
They're
though it's
gonna-
already shot.
It's already shot, but they're saving it for next summer. The Jungle Cruise movie. Please don't make it so that they add the characters from
The
the
characters
movie
into this-
into the ride. I just don't want that at all.
They're not going to do that yet. Let's wait and see if this movie is popular. And then maybe they can do a couple of like spin-offs and then maybe they'll do it.
Maybe they won't. Anyway, I want it to be a successful movie and a good movie,
Yeah.
but I don't want it to affect the Jungle Cruise.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then another one I'm not sure what it's about, called The One and Only Ivan. I'm sure it's about somebody named Ivan, and there's nobody else like him. But
Give you
other
that
than
idea.
And then another Disney animated film, which is Untitled, coming out in November next year. See, that sounds more reasonable, because Frozen is
Right.
November, 1 year
Yeah.
later. That's normal. But what's with all the Pixar in the same year?
I don't know.
And then, apparently, they're going to make a live-action Cruella movie, which they've already done. They have 2 already. They have 100...
Well, those are 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, but it's basically a live-action Cruella movie.
Well, no, this one's about before the Dalmatians.
Oh, the origin story?
Yes, yes. So starring
I'm all set.
yeah.
As much as I love, she's my favorite villain. They're gonna screw her up. just like they did Maleficent in the movie. I'll have more to say about that on our next show. We're going to talk about Maleficent on our next Dateline in depth, because I have a few words for Disney about that. Anyway, let's talk about the different franchises and how they're going to... Because basically, we're not going to go through the rest of it because it's just basically untitled.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be live action and animated and whatever. But what we do know is the amount of Marvel, the amount of Star Wars, when and how they're going to release these franchises. So like Ruthie said, the Marvel films is going down from 3 a year to 2 a year starting next year.
Well, it's just for 2020 because back in 2021, they're going back to 3.
And then in 2022, they're going back to 2 again.
2, yeah. So.
And we have no idea what these movies are, what they're going to be about. We know nothing other than they're going to be from the Marvel Universe.
Right.
So then, the other franchise we have to talk about is Indiana Jones, because, well, they've only announced one, but I have a feeling some of these untitled Disney, untitled Lucas, some of these are going to be Indiana Jones, because I have a feeling that the next one's going to be pretty big at the box office, and they're going to want to make more. So when is the next one coming out? Isn't it 2021?
Yeah, July 9th, 2021 is when they have it. The next Indiana Jones movie slated.
Right, and it hasn't been named yet. But it is going to have Harrison Ford. I have a feeling this will be his swan song in that role.
Yeah.
And going forward, they're going to replace him with a different actor. And it's going to be sort of like the James Bond franchise, where every few years they'll replace him and just keep... Because, you know, the nature of Indiana Jones, it's based on the old movie serials that you would go as a kid, the adventure serials that you would see in the movie theater, you know, like a 30-minute, and come back next week for more exciting adventures of, you know, so-and-so. So this type of thing has just, this type of franchise has unlimited stories and ideas that can be done. I mean, he could go anywhere around the world and have all sorts of different adventures. So I have a feeling this isn't the last we're going to see of this franchise when Harrison Ford retires from the role.
Right.
Now, one thing that's really perplexing to me is Disney's obsession with Avatar. Because basically, I saw this very funny clip of a YouTuber that his name is Jax Films, and he's just this really funny guy. I enjoy him. He lives in Hollywood. He went out to the boardwalk, Santa Monica Pier, and just brought a camera and a microphone, and he interviewed like a man on the street. He asked everybody to name one character from Star Wars, and everybody was like, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, you know, Yoda. And then he asked everyone a second question. Name one character from Avatar. And nobody could answer him. Nobody. I think one person got like half of the name right.
Huh. That's
They didn't even get the full name. They only got like his first name. They couldn't remember his last name.
That's where I can get to. I know a first name, but I don't know a last name.
Yeah, so why Disney is so obsessed with this franchise, I don't know. But they've
I think it stems from it until, you know, a couple weeks when Endgame makes the most money ever. Avatar has held that spot for forever, since it came out, 2009.
Yeah, but the reason is because it was like one of the first in the new trend of the 3D craze.
Yeah.
That really has a lot to do with it. It has a lot less to do with the rememberability of it. Nobody remembers it. Nobody cares. There's no passion for this franchise.
Right. You're right.
You know,
and ever since 2009, they've been talking about doing multiple sequels, and nothing has ever come of it.
and it was a gimmick, and it was it was all about the gimmick and not about the substance of the film. That's why. So unless they're going to change things up, which they very well, I might be eating my words, it might be huge, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay, it's fine to say, okay, we're going to make a part 2. That's fine. I understand them wanting to do that, but shouldn't they wait to see how Avatar 2 does before they announce they're going to make part 3, part 4, and part 5?
I think
they should
they're just
make
banking on the fact of the first movie, and then
you should never bank on anything.
I know, but what they're going to do, I really feel like this. So 2021, Avatar 2 is slated to come out December 17th, 2021, and they are going to market this movie like you've never seen a movie marketed before, because they want to turn this franchise into the next franchise competitive with Star Wars.
I have a feeling they're going to there's space to add a third attraction to Avatar Land in Animal Kingdom. They have room for expansion. I bet you they're going to, if this movie does well, they'll add more to that.
Well,
later.
they need to fix the Navi River journey, but that's another.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good ride, but it's just way too short.
And anticlimactic.
And I don't like the ending.
Yeah. So.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What's going to happen with Star Wars after Episode 9? Well, we really don't know. Are they going to do Episode 10, or are they just going to do spin-offs? Because
they're saying that Episode 9 is the end of the Skywalker series, so.
Well, it might be the end of the Skywalker series, but there might be other characters that have adventures that they're just going to call it 10, 11, just to keep it.
I don't think they'll call it Episode 10 without having a Skywalker in those. So I think Episode 9 is it. Now, it's not it for the Star Wars universe. It's just it for the Skywalker story.
So I guess they're not going to do any more Star Wars films for 3 years.
Right.
And then in 2024 or 22?
Yeah, 22.
They're going to do untitled, undisclosed, under lock and key, no information, Star Wars film. And apparently, it's going to be directed by this gruesome twosome, which are
David Benioff and D.B. Weiss.
Right. And they were the writers of the
writers and directors, the creators of the show. I mean, in the beginning, they were just kind of writing it like screenplays based off of the novels. But when the novels ended, they were becoming the writers.
So, the word on the street is the people want more Game of Thrones. They didn't want the series to end. It's the most popular series on, well, I guess you know,
ever. Yes.
It's not on TV, but
yeah,
on any format right now. And it's ever the most popular, the most watched television series of all time.
Right.
I'm one of the only people who never got into it. I never watched it. I've never seen an episode.
I have. I watched all of it.
Yeah, you're into it. But you like Marvel,
I love
Star
fantasy.
Wars.
I love this kind of stuff. It's right up my alley.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I would enjoy it. I don't watch stuff. You know how I am.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the rumor is that they sort of half-heartedly finished the show because they were eager to get on to their Star Wars playtime. So they wanted to go play Star Wars with their lightsabers, and so they sort of shortchanged Game of Thrones and gave it half a season. They crammed a full season into half a season and left people kind of disappointed. And they also made some major continuity errors, like having Starbucks in medieval times.
You didn't know it was around back then, Chris?
Ruthie, they didn't even have coffee in Europe back then, let alone Starbucks. coffee comes from South America. Christopher Columbus hadn't invaded South America yet.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, Bob Iger confirmed that these two are the ones that are working on the next Star Wars film that we're going to get after Episode 9.
Right. And hopefully they won't screw that up.
Right.
I have a feeling they won't, because they're probably really eager to play their little Star Wars game.
And the other thing is, too...
That's why they left Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But from 2019 to 2022, that's a big span of time. So hopefully people won't be holding a grudge over Game of Thrones.
Oh, that'll be forgotten.
Yeah. So... we'll see, but I know, Star Wars fans are really fickle, so they definitely have to come with their A game on the Star Wars film.
Disney execs are always complaining about us Disney geeks. We're nothing compared to Star Wars geeks. Right. Like, they are the worst. I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, they're very dedicated, and they don't like things. If they don't like something, they let you know.
You know it. Yeah. They're very vocal about it. Yeah.
There's no pixie dusters in the Star Wars franchise. They either love it or hate it. There's
right.
There's no rose-colored glasses in that fandom.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some more Star Wars information.
All right.
Hello everyone, today on Know Before You Go, we've got some insider info on how to get to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and where to park. So, park it here and let's begin. Okay friends, May 31st will soon be here. That's the official opening date of the all-new land, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland Park. Now, in our earlier tips, we gave you the important reminder that everyone planning to visit the new land between May 31st and June 23rd needs valid theme park admission and a reservation. Remember, there is no standby line. Reservations for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge are no longer available for day guests. But you can still book a room at one of the 3 Disneyland Resort hotels, which is now the only way you can get a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge reservation from May 31st to June 23rd. So today, we'll map out how to get here once you have that in place. First, every Disneyland Resort visitor knows there are a lot of cars in Southern California, and lots of them sharing the road at one time. If you plan to visit on opening day, please know the parking lots open at midnight. Do our parking teams and Anaheim neighbors a favor and don't arrive before then. You won't be allowed just to stop on city streets to wait for parking lots to open, and nobody wants you driving around in the middle of the night. Plus, if you have a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge reservation, there is no need to get here super early to get into the land, since there is no standby line. After opening day, our parking lots will open no later than 5:30 a.m. Remember, at Disneyland Today gives real-time parking updates on Twitter, so have someone in your car keep an eye on it. And not you, because you don't want to be a distracted driver. While many people plan to drive to the resort, it's a great idea to carpool. Helps the environment too. If you choose to arrive by Lyft or Uber, please book your drop-off in downtown Disney. Way more room to find a drop-off place. If you're staying in a neighboring hotel, it's a short walk to the main entrances of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. Remember to allow for time to pass through our security screening areas. There's one on the east side near Harbor Boulevard and another on the west side near Disneyland Drive and Magic Way. Security screenings are for everyone's safety, and we thank you ahead of time for being patient. So, when you plan your visit, remember to allow for extra time for your arrival. It's worth that little extra time for a fun day ahead. Well, that's it for now. Be sure to watch the Disney Parks blog for more information as May 31st approaches. We hope to see you soon, so travel safe. And may the Force be with you.
Thank you, Justin. Our favorite cast member.
Yeah. I'm not doing that.
He's kind of a wacky guy. He's a little too happy about things, but hey,
he is over the top.
Yeah. So the time is upon us.
Yes. Next Friday, May 31st.
I know. It seems like it's taken forever for this land to be built. They built Disneyland in 1 year.
Yeah, I know.
And this
The
land...
Star Wars land in 2.
When did they announce it? In 2017 at D23?
Oh, no, it was before. It had to have been before 2017. I'd say 2015.
Well, anyway, it's almost about to open. And there is what they call a reservation system in place. But all the reservations are filled unless you get a hotel reservation, which is probably impossible at this point anyway, to even get a hotel reservation.
Yeah.
It's probably all booked up. So basically, if you don't have a reservation and if you're not staying at a Disneyland resort hotel, you're going to have to wait until, what is it, June 23rd?
Yeah, that's the last day of the reservation. So June 24th. It'll be open to the public.
It'll be the first day it'll be open to the public, and they're going to have a virtual queue. They haven't put out the details on how they're going to do a virtual queue, but my guess is they're going to give you some sort of a paging thing and let you walk around the park until it's your turn to come into the land. And I think they're going to limit you to 4 hours still. So I think this is only me guessing. I have no insider information. This is all just me thinking out loud. They are probably going to limit you to 4 hours because with the reservation system, they're also going to limit you to 4 hours. And a lot of people were asking, so how are they going to get you to leave when your 4 hours is up? Well, there's a couple ways. Well, there's a few ways, and they're kind of interesting. So we thought we'd mention them. So one thing is, if you want to get on the one attraction that's open, you won't be able to once your 4 hours is up. You're going to have a wristband, and they're going to scan it when you go into the line. And if your 4 hours is up, it won't let you into the ride, into the queue. So the Disney feels that 4 hours is enough time to see everything. And you will have seen everything, and you will want to leave after 4 hours because there'll be nothing left to see. There's only one attraction. So, I mean, once you've been on the attraction, there's some shops, and if you want to go into Olga's Cantina, you know, it's all fast food. There's no sit-down restaurant, so 4 hours is probably more than enough. I mean, I don't like to be rushed, but I wouldn't even want to be in this with a whole Disneyland to see. I wouldn't want to just be in one land for the whole day.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
anyway.
I visited Hogsmeade. Hogsmeade at Harry Potter at Universal Studios in Florida when it first opened. This was before they had any other part, and that's only a small part of that park. But right. I wanted to spend my whole time there, and there was the same thing. One attraction.
Yeah, but that's Universal.
Yeah.
I mean, Universal doesn't have Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, and it's a small world. So, I mean...
That's true.
The Tiki Room. So, anyway, the other way they're going to get rid of you... This nice topic here. No humans allowed in the Droid Depot after your 4 hours is up. Not all the gift shops, but I think some of the more... the main popular ones, they're going to make you scan your band to get into the shops, too. And once your 4 hours is up, they won't let you into the shops. That's what I read. Ruthie, you feel differently?
No, I think, that's what it says here.
Yeah.
They're not going to let you go on the ride, go into the Olga's Cantina, any of the restaurants that, you can't build a lightsaber, you can't build a robot or a droid.
I wonder if you'll be able to buy from, like, an outdoor vendor.
Probably not.
Like, one of those soft drinks.
The milk,
something.
The blue
no,
one.
No, I mean, like, the carts that they roll around. I wonder if you'll be able to buy something. Probably you will, because, I mean, they can't deny you water if you...
Right.
So there's a third way.
Yeah.
They're gonna get rid of you. They're gonna have stormtroopers walking around saying, "Get out!
They'll escort you out of Galaxy's Edge.
Yes. That's
crazy.
I can't wait to see video of that.
People are gonna wait until they're escorted out. People are gonna want to have this experience.
Yeah, which might be a bad thing because, I mean, ideally they'd want people to leave in less than 4 hours.
Right.
But this is gonna make people want to stay the full 4 hours in order to get yelled at by a stormtrooper.
Right.
I mean, they'll probably yell at you anyway. Because they do that in Tomorrowland already. Like they say, what kind of human is this? It's called a tourist.
I hope they're not actually yelling at people. Like, they still have to make it a fun experience.
I'm exaggerating. They're just gonna be stern and in character. They're not gonna be mean about it.
Excuse me, sir. Come with me. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. They're not gonna be like, you know, it'll be all in fun. It's not gonna be anything. So after June 23rd, reservations are no longer required, as we said. Don't show up early to park because you have a designated time. There's no need. It's not going to be crazy because only people that have reservations are going to get into Star Wars Land, and probably everyone else is going to avoid the park like a plague. Why would you want to go there on the day Star Wars Land opens when you're thinking it's going to be all crowded and everything when you're not even going to be able to get into it? Why would you?
Right.
Why would you put yourself through that punishment
for
no reason? So I have a feeling it's not going to be crowded as far as the parking lots and everything. But if you want to sit in the parking lot at 12 a.m. or you go
like
for
Justin
it.
said, it opens at 12. Yeah.
Go for it, but you're crazy. Just show up at the regular time. Don't be it's
I mean,
not
that's
gonna...
what this whole reservation is about, is to avoid lines.
Right. Now, if you go on the 24th, get there at 12 a.m. The 24th of June, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're still going to have, like, a queuing system, like you said. It's going to be either, like, through the app or, if you don't have access to the app, some other way. It's going to be basically like a fast pass system. That's what they're going to end up doing.
They're still going to have to get a fast pass to get on the attraction and maybe even to get into the land itself. So
Right. And there's no word about whether they are offering a fast pass for the Millennium Falcon ride. Right. So
it might just be a pass to get into the land, and then you
and then
just
everybody
get in
waits
line,
in the regular line,
standby line for the Millennium Falcon. Yeah. So Disney just announced today that, I was wondering about this because I was like, how are they going to have they always have a grand opening ceremony when anything new opens. How are they going to do that on the 31st when they have this whole reservation thing going? Well, they're not going to do it on the 31st. They're going to do it 2 days earlier, on the evening of the 29th. And,
which is next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, and it's going to be on a live stream on the Disney Parks blog. So, it's going to be presented by AT&T, and it's going to be on at 8:20 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 11:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's really late.
It's very late for us East Coast people.
Yeah, but they always, when the Parks blog does these live streams, they always make them available to watch after.
Yeah, later.
Anytime you want on their YouTube channel.
This makes me wonder, they must be doing some sort of fireworks or something, because 8:20 p.m., that's when it's dark.
They're definitely doing fireworks, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to watch that and see what the...
I don't know if I'll be awake, but I'll try.
Well, you'll be able to watch it the next day.
Yeah.
So let's talk about another interesting development at Disneyland Resort. So Disney announced a brand new type of annual pass, and it's called the Disney Flex Passport. And it's already gone into effect. It was launched 2 days ago on May 21st. And this is priced at $599. If you round that off, that's about $600. And you get a $1 discount.
Right.
So this is actually a little bit more expensive than the Southern California Select Passport and a little less expensive than the Deluxe Passport. But it is nearly half the price of the Premium Passport, which is called the Signature Pass, which has only about 10 blockout dates. And that sells for $1,149. Oh my god.
Isn't that the one where you can get into Disneyland or Disney World?
No, this is just
No.
Disneyland. The one for Disney World for both parks is double that.
Yeah.
So, but the advantage to this Flex Passport is you get all of the same availability days as the Super Signature Deluxe Pass, the $1,000+ pass, but it's half the price. It's, well, a little more than half. It's $600 instead of $1,100.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a few caveats. You get all the same days within some restrictions, major restrictions. We'll explain what those are. So, think of it this way. Because a lot of other podcasts, I haven't listened to any, but Ruthie informed me that they made a mess of it when they tried to explain it. So I tried I sort of wrote it all out, and so I can explain it to everybody so it's fully understood. So hopefully you'll go away from the segment knowing everything you need to know. Because that little video you watch is even more confusing than anything else.
Right.
It doesn't really explain how it works. Okay, so I did some thinking, some brainstorming, and wrote this all down. So, think of it that there's 3 types of days when you have a Flex Passport. 3 types of days on the calendar. There's good to go days, which means good to go. You can go without any restrictions, unlimited times, however many hours, whatever you want. Good to go. Then there are advance reservation days. Now this is what makes this pass very unique. If you have an advance reservation day that you would like to visit the park, you are able to make your reservation up to 30 days in advance. You can do it the day before. You probably won't get it, but you can make the reservation up to 30 days in advance if that's the specific day you would like to go. So you have to do some pre-planning now.
Mm-hmm. Which Disneyland people are not used to.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So, these reservations you're able to make them starting at 7 a.m. every day. So if it's July 30th and you want to go on August 30th, you have to call at 7 a.m. July 30th in the morning to make your reservation for August 30th. That's what I would recommend to make sure you get it, because they're on a limited availability.
Mm-hmm.
Once they're out of reservations, that day is a block day, basically, a blockout day for you now.
Yeah. Well, you can do it on the website or on the app as well.
You're able to do it on their website or on a smartphone app.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do it for both parks.
Right.
You can make a reservation for both parks if they're available, or you can just do one or the other park.
Mm-hmm.
So they might tell you, well, we have availability still at Disney California Adventure, but Disneyland is blocked that day. So you can say, okay, well, I'll just go to California Adventure, and you can still make the reservation. Okay, so you're allowed to make 2 reservations you're allowed to hold 2 reservations at a time.
Each ticketed person.
Each person.
Yeah.
And once you use up your reservation, you can make another, even if you still have one in the queue. If you don't have 2, you can make another one. But you can only have 2 at the same time. So let's say you have a reservation for July 10th and July 15th. So you use your you go to the park on the 10th and use your reservation. And it's July 11th and you call and make a reservation for the 20th because you have an available slot now. Okay?
Right.
That's how that works.
And also, if you have 2 reservations, you can still go to the park on the good-to-go days without worrying about that.
Right. That has no bearing on the good-to-go days at all.
Right.
Now, there's only a very small period that is a blackout day. Let me show you this calendar here. You see, the blue are the reservation days. The green are the good-to-go days, and the gray are the blockout days. As you can see, there's only about 2 weeks in the whole calendar year that are blackout dates. They run from right before Christmas, from the 21st of December through the 4th of January. So the entire rest of the year is available. And that's true even for the highest passport you can possibly buy.
With those days still.
Nobody can get into the park those days except for buying a ticket for that day.
I think you can if you have that pass for both California and Florida parks. But that's it.
Well, I maybe so, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's entirely possible, but I don't know that to be the case. Okay. So there's another thing you need to keep in mind. If you are a no-show, you get penalized. If you make a reservation and don't show up, you get penalized. You have a one-time that they give you a pass on it. They don't punish you. The second time, they will mail you a warning saying if you do this again, we're gonna suspend your pass. So if you are a no-show 3 times, they're going to suspend your ability to make reservations. You can still go on the free-to-go days, but you will no longer be able to make reservations for an undisclosed time period. They haven't said how long they're going to hold you to that. So if you're going to make a reservation, make sure you're going to keep it. But you are allowed to cancel. As long as you cancel your reservation before midnight the day before you're going to go, then they won't penalize you. You just have to remember that if you can't make it, you need to call them and cancel. Or go on the website.
Or you can do it on the website or the app.
Right.
Yeah.
So did I explain it all clearly?
I mean, I think so. It's still uber complicated, but I still think it's pretty. I think you did a good job. I mean, this is going to take a while for California pass holders to get on board with this pass.
I thought you were going to insult people from California by saying they're not smart enough to
I'm from
understand.
California. No.
I am too.
No, to get on board. This is not something that any California regular Disney attendant is ready to do. They don't want to think about. They want to wake up in the morning and be like, you know what, I feel like going to Disneyland today, and be able to go.
Well, then what you need to do is buy a different type of
pass. Yeah. But the reason why they're doing this pass is because of Galaxy's Edge, because they want to be able to regulate the amount of people that are coming to Disneyland.
Exactly.
So.
And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's, me personally, if I was going to buy a pass and I lived in California, I probably would just do the second tier, the $700 one.
The deluxe.
So I don't have to deal with all this.
Right. That's the one that
Oh,
I used to
gosh.
have when I
Yeah.
lived in
I mean,
California.
that's the one I had too when it was $150 back
Right.
in the 90s. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, we do have a few rapid fire stories to end today's show with. So, our first rapid fire is Disney owns Hulu 100%.
Yes.
So,
We knew this was coming.
what article did we look at for this?
The article is titled Disney Assumes Full Control of Hulu in Deal with Comcast by Todd Spangler for Variety.com from May 14th.
Okay. So I'm looking at Ruthie's notes, and this seems even more confusing than the...
It is kind of
Flex
complicated. We
Pass.
don't have to go through all of the dollar amounts and all of this stuff because they did kind of a tiered system with this deal.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually bought out NBC's 40% ownership. They were going to have 60% ownership because they had already made arrangements with Warner Studios to buy their 10%. They had 50% when they bought Fox. So I guess NBC said, well, we might as well sell this to them because they want it so bad and we only own 40%. What are we going to do with that? So
Yeah.
which is surprising that Disney was able to make a deal with NBC because they're not the best of friends. NBC
But I think
and
that
Disney.
probably plays a part in this. They don't want to have to continue to deal with each other on this
Maybe.
level.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So NBC is still gonna stream programming, and I guess in 2024 they're gonna pull back on their programming that's licensed exclusively to Hulu, because all those contracts will expire.
Yeah.
So probably at that point, NBC's going to say, see you later, Gator, and they're just going to move on and do something different with their programming, and it won't stream on Hulu. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it would be more financially practical to keep doing it. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I mean,
these
at
things
that
work.
time they can evaluate it. But I do know they are planning on doing their own streaming service that's going to be free, but with ads.
Right, which is basically, that's what Hulu is too. It's free unless you want to pay, and then you get no ads. Well, it used
No,
to
I
be.
have a subscription to Hulu. It's $5.99, and I still have ads.
Oh, well.
You have to pay more if you don't want the ads.
Right, you're right. What it was is it used to be free in the
It used to be
beginning.
free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still remembering it. But it had so many ads. It was like watching regular TV.
Right.
Only the thing is, it was the same ad over and over again because they
Yes.
had less advertisers. But that's changing. I mean, these are the early years of all this. That's all going to change over time.
Yeah.
So we have a Bob Iger quote. Newsflash. What did Bob Iger say, Ruthie?
He said, "We are now able to completely integrate Hulu into our direct-to-consumer business and leverage the full power of the Walt Disney Company's brand and creative engines to make the service even more compelling and at greater value for consumers."
Yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah, that's a whole bunch
Bunch
of
of-
marketing jumbo.
Yeah, mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, I don't know how.
Really, the bottom line of this is that now they're going to take total control over Hulu, and they're going to be able to offer this into packages with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN.
Right.
And Hulu is going to be like their more adult streaming service. So all those Fox rated R movies that they acquire, they're going to be on Hulu. They won't be on Disney Plus.
Who knew? Hulu knew.
But it's good that they were.
We are here today to celebrate the unveiling of our Disney Skyliner cabins, which is years and years of work and research and really beautiful design work from all of our teams.
We're bringing all the cabins out from our parking system. We've taken all of the wrappers off and uncovered the beauty that is underneath that a lot of people have known is there, but now you actually get to see it.
It's really astonishing to see all of our characters and all of our cabins in context with Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it's just unreal to see it all for the first time.
Everybody works on different aspects of the project, structural, engineering, creative, and today's all about that, putting everything together, mixing it all together, and sending it out for the public to see. So it's a huge milestone for us, and we're able to move forward and get ready for a fall opening.
My favorite gondola is the Haunted Mansion cabin. I love that it takes those iconic scenes from our classic attraction and really develops them into a unique character cabin. We hope that our guests, when they're traveling around Walt Disney World, look up and see the excitement of all of our new cabins and get a real sense of anticipation for when they get to ride this fall. It's an emotional morning for all of us as we've seen these designs on paper, but to now really see them in the sky flying is just really a dream come true.
Ruthie, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You had one more thing to say about Hulu.
Oh, I was just going to wrap up the conversation, but it's good that Disney was able to acquire full control over Hulu, so now they really can, you know, turn it into I think, a better streaming service than it is. So.
Well, on May 9th, Disney unwrapped 55 gondolas for testing and the Disney Skyliner system. And the system's gonna open later this fall, but it's pretty cool to see them in operation.
Yeah.
It brings me back to the old days when they had the Skyway. So each one, I guess, has a unique character display on the windows, which are one-way windows. You can't see in, but you can see out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's also helping with the climate control. It keeps it cooler on the inside because it'll be shaded. It's kind of like when you have the wrapping on the car windows. Only these are not cars, so they're allowed to put them on the windshield.
Right. Nobody in there is actually driving it.
And they do have they do have vents, as you can see in the pictures and in that video we just showed, so that you are able to open. They have slats, so they have air. My only concern is what's going to happen when it breaks down and you're stuck in there and it's 90 degrees and humid. Sorry,
I don't know.
My cat is in the way here. So
she really likes the idea of these Skyliners.
So the Skyliner is going to connect Hollywood Studios and the International Gateway at Epcot, and it's going to connect the Caribbean Resort, and they're building a new resort, and I guess that resort is eventually also going to have a line.
Yeah, the Riviera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is exciting.
Yeah.
It's one of our last days of the workshop of Tale of the Lion King. This is a brand new adaptation of this wonderful story that we all love so dearly. We have just spent 7 days developing the script, the music, the staging, the props. The approach that we've taken is that this is a story that was passed on from generation to generation and now has come here to Disney California Adventure Park. And so it's a group of storytellers that we've called the Storytellers of the Pride Lands, and they've come to share this ancestral story of how this little cub became a king. We have singers, we have live drummers, we have dancers, and all the performers are part of this ensemble of storytellers. Our set design is riddled with imagery and iconography that comes from the spirit of Africa. The music is completely new. We're actually adapted all the songs so that they have a real true flavor of the authenticity of the spirit of Africa. Tale of the Lion King will be uniquely Disney and culturally authentic. And this is important to us, that we bring the flavor, the spirit of the culture in a way that moves people and also celebrates the great stories of the Walt Disney Company.
So, in honor, I guess, of I think it's twofold. In honor of the 25th anniversary, and I guess also in promotion of the upcoming live-action, quote-unquote, live-action version of The Lion King, they're doing a little stage production at Disney's California Adventure called Tale of the Lion King. So, it's got 18 performers, actors, singers, dancers, drummers, live drumming, and they tell the story of the Pride Lands. So, a lot of the songs from the movie have new musical arrangements that are more authentic to the music of Africa. They're less Broadway and more folk music, African folk music type, drumming and more traditional music. So, I have a couple thoughts. Walt Disney built his park because he wanted to create environments that took you out of the world you're in and put you into a fantasy world that brought you to a specific time and place. What he didn't like about theme parks, they weren't even theme parks, they were amusement parks of his day, was the way you had a banana on a stick stand next to a haunted house. It had no cohesive rhyme or reason to it, and it was just a design. It was chaos. It was a mess. That was the whole purpose of building Disneyland. He wanted to create different themed environments. What does Lion King have to do with any theme in California Adventure? Absolutely nothing. It's not California. It's not Marvel. It's not Beachside Pier. It's not. None of the themes in this park match the theme of this show. So I'm annoyed by it. I feel like have a show, but do a show themed to the park. Not everything has to be to promote your latest film. If it doesn't fit the theme, don't do it. Have it in Disney World at Animal Kingdom. Or in their Adventureland, they can do it because they have room for it. They can't do it in Disneyland's Adventureland, which would be the only place this would fit. But, fit thematically. But it doesn't fit space-wise, because there's just no space.
Because there's no space
anywhere in Adventureland for anything. So that's how I feel about it. What do you feel?
Yeah, you're right. Why throw this in DCA? It's literally just to continue to attract people to go to this park instead of Disneyland. Oh, you like Lion King? You want to go see this new show?
Well, put something in that attracts people that fits the theme.
Right.
It doesn't have to be Lion King.
That park doesn't really have a theme anymore, so that's probably part of the problem.
It didn't really have one to begin with, and then they spent over $1 billion to give it a theme, and now they're just going completely against that. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
With the whole Pixar Pier overlay, and I don't know. I wish I had been able to see California Adventure in 2012 when it was at its peak. Everything had a theme and cohesion, and I don't know. Maybe those days will come back again. Maybe the Pixar overlay is temporary, and eventually they'll get rid of it. Who knows?
I don't know. The park has good bones, though. There's still things to work with.
Yeah. That was always the case.
Yeah.
But I feel like in 2012, it was like, it didn't just have good bones. It was like starting to really become something really special. And then they completely went against that. Anyway,
because they only did it halfway.
They only did it halfway, and then they started taking out what added to the theming, like the Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I've said enough negative stuff, so let's talk about something positive and close the show out.
Alrighty.
Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty Castle is probably the most beloved icon at Disneyland Park. Because it is such a beloved icon and one of the most Instagram places in the world, just like everything at Disneyland, we take care in maintaining and refreshing our assets. Throughout the years, we've added small little enhancements to the castle, like the little squirrel downspouts, a stained glass window. So this year, we're planning on, along with replacing the roofs, repainting it always in the same color scheme of the cool blue stones and the warm pink plaster walls and then the beautiful blue roofs. But we're going to add a little pixie dust to it this year, which I think will be very subtle, but I think it will be very charming for our castle. Because through the years of doing so many different special things for her, it's important to us to make sure that she always looks her finest. So during this time, guests will have their opportunity to take their photo in front of Herb Ryman's first rendering of Sleeping Beauty Castle. I'm happy to be a part of keeping Sleeping Beauty Castle looking elegant and being the center icon of Disneyland.
Well, the castle is done. It hasn't
Yay.
Officially opened yet. I think tomorrow, isn't it going to open tomorrow?
I think it's Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they have taken down all the scrims, so even though you can't walk through it, you can see it.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks better than it has in a long time, but it's not my favorite version.
Mm-hmm.
I like the version when it was white and light blue. And light.
So like the 1955 version.
The 55 and the way it looked during Walt's lifetime and through the 70s until the 80s when they first started painting it pink.
Yeah.
That's the castle I like. Less is more. You got enough going on with just the castle itself. I never liked those little turrets on the side that they added with the little chipmunks from Sleeping Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Never cared for that. Anyway, it's better than it has been in 20 years, I feel.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful compared to all the damage that it underwent when they started doing the Christmas overlay. I wonder if they're still going to do that. Maybe they fixed it so that when they add the overlay, it won't damage it. They did the roof in such a way where it won't. Because the original roof, every year they added those lights, it got worse and worse.
Right.
And then when they did the 60th and they put that ugly plastic on the top, I don't know what that was. And they added those stripes that looked like electrical tape that looked terrible. I hated the 60th anniversary. One thing that really bugged me about it was the center tower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the big triangle in the middle at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They put the crosses on there in such a way they were off center.
Yeah.
And that
that's
drove
weird.
me crazy. I was like, what? Do these people go to design school? What is going on? It looks terrible. I couldn't even look at it. It bothered me so much. So I'm glad those days are gone.
Yeah.
And I really love how they added in that video, which was made several months ago, she hinted at this. She said, we're going to add a little pixie dust to the roof. And we didn't really understand what she meant by that. She said it'll be subtle, but it'll be charming. And she's right, because what they did was they added little pixie dust stars to the center roof that kind of fade as it goes up. And that's one of my favorite things about this version of the castle is those stars on the center tower on the roof. One thing I don't really care for is how they painted the archway gold. I don't know if I like that. I think my problem with it's not that it doesn't look good, it's just that nothing else except that is that color.
Right.
Except for that, and they painted the coat of arms above it, the same gold, but it doesn't really match the rest of it. It doesn't look right. There's something about it that the color just doesn't look right. I understand what they were going for, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the new castle?
Well, I agree. It looks really good. It looks way better than it has in a really long time. And I actually really like the darker roof colors and the way that it kind of like ombre, kind of like a look to it. So it's not like one solid color. It kind of fades in and out of different shades of the blue. I really like that. I think it looks really good with that darker color on the top, as opposed to like the pink roof and the blue walls. They kind of flip-flopped it. And I actually like the way the stone looks. They painted it to look more like authentic stone. So I think it looks good. I'm really glad they did this, and this is going to be, a really great, weenie that Walt intended it to be. Now it's just going to be calling your name when you're walking down Main Street. I think it looks really great.
You know what? I really think I do like the dark blue, but I think that gold archway keeps ruining it for me. Like if they took that away, then I would think it would look perfect. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to it.
Yeah,
you
gotta spend some time looking at it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I don't like. I don't even mind the gold emblem at the coat of arms above it. I just don't care for that archway or portico, as they say. So, anyway, so ends another episode of the Days of Dateline Jiminy Crickets. Join us next week. Well, we'll answer such questions as... No, I'm just... I was watching a skit on the Carol Burnett show with Tim Conway earlier, where they did a spoof on soap operas called As the Stomach Turns.
Oh my gosh.
It was an ongoing skit they did, and they would always introduce new characters on there.
Wow.
And that's where the old man character was first introduced, was on one of those. So then he was so popular they kept bringing him back again and again. Another character introduced was Mother Marcus, which was a Harvey Korman character where he played a Yenta.
Oh,
this
gosh.
Big, fat Jewish lady. And then they kept bringing her back. They made her the fairy godmother when they did the Cinderella sketch. Cinderella Gets It On.
Wow.
It was like a 70s version of Cinderella. Like a disco Cinderella. Anyway. Ruthie, where can everybody find Jiminy Crickets?
You can listen to all of our past shows, including audio versions of Dateline Jiminy Crickets, on our website, jcricketpodcast.blogspot.com. You can also listen to us on iTunes under the name Jiminy Crickets. That's with an exclamation point, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. On our YouTube channel, we share updates to the DisneyChris website, including the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, as well as past episodes of the Jiminy Crickets podcast and Dateline Jiminy Crickets. You can find our channel if you search for DisneyChris.com, and remember, .com is spelled out DOTCOM, and don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell. You can also join in the conversation over on our Facebook page, Jiminy Crickets Podcast, where you can not only interact with Chris and me and all the fellow Cricketeers, but you can also stay up to date on all the latest details of our many World Wide Web endeavors. In addition to all the normal places you have always found our podcasts, you can now also find us at The Roarbots, a unique website celebrating all aspects of geek culture, including Disney fandom, and we are proud to be part of this motley crew of pop culture superfans, and we share an episode of our podcast there each and every Thursday. So be sure to check this amazing website out, www.theroarbots.com. If you would like to contact the show with your comments or questions, our email address is DisneyChris@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
So, I forgot to put the words on the screen, Ruthie. A little bit of a delay while you were giving out that. Anyway, we now have an Instagram. Well, we had one for a long time, but we just started really utilizing it. So if you want to check us out on Instagram, and we've been posting lots of really fun vintage images of Disneyland and other things. DisneyChris_JC_podcast. On Twitter, I'm at DisneyChris73. On Facebook, Ruthie Brown can be found under the name Ruthie Brown. And me, Chris Linden, I can be found under the name Chris Linden. That's Lyndon, as in Lyndon Johnson. I would spell out Brown, but I think you probably know how to spell that.
I hope you guys do.
My website is DisneyChris.com, home of the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour and the Disney Song of the Day. Now, let me mention, on May 31st, when Star Wars Land opens its gates in Disneyland, I will be opening my virtual gates to my brand new Star Wars chapter, which is part of the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour on my website. So go to DisneyChris.com on the morning of May 31st, and you will find a brand new chapter with over 60 audio tracks based on Star Wars and the new Galaxy's Edge. So on Patreon, which we mentioned earlier in this episode, if you are interested in joining and receiving our rewards, it's patreon.com/DisneyChris. Now, I should also mention that if you are not interested in doing a payment schedule through Patreon, you can also use eBay. eBay allows you to do monthly...
You mean PayPal?
PayPal, not eBay. What am I saying? PayPal. Yeah, so PayPal allows you to do monthly payments as well. And we will track those and give out the same rewards. If you donate $10, we'll give you the same rewards as the $10 level on Patreon, etc., etc. So don't worry if you don't want to deal with... Some people aren't comfortable with Patreon, and some people are, and some people prefer PayPal. PayPal will also allow you to make a one-time donation. And if you do make a one-time donation, I'll be sure to give you a lot of cool audio and other things as well. So if you'd like to make a one-time donation, you will be rewarded as well. So don't worry about that. I've got you covered, no matter how you'd like to donate. And you can find all of these donation options on my website. You can go to disneychris.com/donate.html. So, Ruthie, do you have any final words for this week?
Yes. To quote Walt Disney, laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, dreams are forever.
And always let your conscience be your guide.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. M-I-C.
See you real soon.
K-E-Y.
Why? Because we like you.